Do you support Donald
30.
Trump?
Yes.
Okay. Why so?
Well, I want to talk about the taxes stuff. So, there's many reasons I support Donald Trump, but I actually am a tax accountant. I'm not a CPA. I'm an enrolled agent with the IRS. But so you kept talking about deductions and that like you kind of have it like halfway right that with a business, you have your income and your deductions, that's taken off the top. But then what Donald Trump did through the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is he added a qualified business income deduction, and that's off of your net income. So after your deductions, so say the company makes $100,000, and then 50,000 has 50 and 50,000 in deductions, and then the net income is $50,000. Donald Trump gave a 20% qualified business income off of that $50,000. So to say that the marginal tax is from 15 to 21%, that's not totally true. Like, yes,
It is true.
halfway
Wait.
true.
You can't say it's not totally true. That makes no sense. It is totally true. And it is
Okay,
for the first
it's
50,000 in
totally
income.
true.
You can
That's
say
what
that there's
Donald Trump
another
did.
deduction that you can put on top, but that
Right.
doesn't mean that the first 50,000 in taxable income are not taxed at that 6% higher rate.
And then he added a 20% qualified business income deduction. So overall,
Yeah, that's a
yes, he
deduction.
did.
That's a deduction from the top aspect of the
No,
income.
no, it's not. From the net income after all of your deductions, like what you're paying in payroll, what you're paying in furniture, what you're paying in office expenses, all of that, the qualified business income
Is it a
deduction of
deduction in your taxable
20%.
income?
Okay, well, the other side of what
Well,
you're not really understanding
don't do that. Is it a deduction from your taxable income?
is what a deduction from your taxable income.
The qualified business deduction.
Yes.
So it's going to be a taking off from the top of your income, correct?
No.
What?
Af- After your business deductions, after your business deductions on your business, there's something called a K1. That K1 is how much money like if there's 5 shareholders, the K1 is how much money you made versus like the other shareholders. That gets imported into your personal tax return. So even though the company made $100,000, if there's 5 shareholders that all own 20%, the 20%, the $20,000 gets imported into your personal tax return, and the QBI deduction is taken off of that. There's none of your business deductions that get imported into your personal tax return. It's only the actual income that you made from being a shareholder, and the QBI deduction is taken off that after all of your other deductions, like your regular deductions, like office expenses, meals,
So that's for
payroll, all
personal
that.
income.
In a sense, that's personal income,
Okay, so then
but
not corporate
that's your
income.
business income that's imported into your personal tax return. So, all in all, the QBI deduction being added that Donald Trump added through the Tax Cuts and Job Act is more beneficial than the marginal tax rate for a corporation being at 15%.
Oh, okay. So wait, hold up. When you say more beneficial, and what wait, are you saying that you get more money out of it, or that it's not an increase in taxes? So which one is it? Is it
I'm
is it an
saying
increase on
that
the top six, or is it an increase in 6% for the top? I mean, for the bottom 50% in income of taxable, I mean, of corporate income, and then you're just saying it's more beneficial from a business perspective, from a personal income standpoint.
I'm saying for every single individual taxpayer, it is more beneficial to have what Donald Trump has as the marginal tax rate being 21% and adding the QBI deduction of 20%. It's more beneficial for each individual person than the marginal tax rate being at 15% for corporations under Obama and not having the QBI deduction from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 20%.
Is that disputing my point though? Say you think that
Yes.
the overall, no, it's not. If you say you think the overall effect is that someone in a personal standpoint, their personal income, they get a little bit more back in their taxes, is not the same thing as saying that for corporations, their income, for the bottom 50% in income, that it's specifically going to be an increase in taxes by 6% on their business. That's a business tax, right? It's on the business.
Okay, you're saying the bottom 50%. Do you mean the bottom 50,000?
That's what I meant to say, yeah.
Still, I think, no, still, because individuals, especially when you're set up as an S corp, individuals are what are putting money into the corporation. So if I am owing less money, I'm having more money to put towards my corporation.
Okay, so then here, reducing the top marginal tax rate, you're saying has no effect on someone.
It does have an effect on someone, but I think that
Wait, how can reducing the corporate tax rate have an effect on someone, but increasing the corporate tax rate doesn't?
increasing and decreasing the tax rate has an effect on someone. I'm saying that Donald Trump increasing, yes, but then adding a 20% QBI deduction is more beneficial than increasing it by 5% or decreasing it by 5%, 6%.
Yeah, okay. So you keep saying it's more beneficial, right? Here, can I ask you this question? What source do you have that it's more beneficial?
Personal experience, tax returns that I do all the time, numbers that I see, corporations and other S corps partnerships owing more money versus owing less money through the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Me adding in on the personal tax returns the 20% QBI deduction.
Okay. So you're just saying that you saw it and that you couldn't give any other extra clarifying information for that?
I've seen it many
Are you
times.
judging it on effective tax rate, or what are you judging it on?
The amount of taxes owed by individuals and also corporations.
Can you tell me what an effective tax rate is?
An effective tax rate, like for individuals or corporations.
It doesn't change. What's an effective tax rate?
A tax rate that's effective, a tax rate that works, a tax rate that benefits.
You don't know what you're talking about. You have no clue. You don't even know what an effective tax rate is, yet you're trying to tell me how taxes work? Come on, please.
Wait, is this how you act?
Yes, this is totally how I act. If you don't know what an effective tax rate is, how the hell are you going to sit up here and act like I don't know how taxes work? You don't know what an effective tax rate is. Okay, I'll tell you. So when an effective tax rate is going to be for the level of income that you have, how much did you inevitably end up paying in taxes? Because we have a marginal bracket system, meaning that, say, if your first bracket is 15%, the next bracket is 21%, the next bracket is 25%, it is the case that you add up all of those different taxes for your overall level of income, right? And it is the case that based upon that level of taxation, it won't be the last marginal tax rate. It will be a combination of them, given it is the case that for the first, say, 20,000, you paid the 15%. For the next 20,000 income, you paid the 20%. And the next 20% or 20,000 income, you paid the next 25% or whatever. It would be between those, right? You'd have to compare that, all of those, and then what it would be, what's your overall income. And then based upon what your overall income is, what percent in that did you end up paying? So you didn't know what an effective tax rate is. How the hell am I going to say that you know enough to make a claim on whether or not, like effectively speaking, there's going to be a benefit for corporations on the lowest levels of income?
So you're saying that you think Obama's marginal tax rate of 15% was more beneficial than Trump's of 21% plus the QBI deduction of 20% on top of that?
I don't have a comparison. I'm just saying that we want a bottom marginal tax rate, right? We'd want that to be lower. We want a progressive tax structure. The flat tax structure is not good. If you want to do QBI on top of that, that's fine.
Right now, it's the 21% plus the QBI deduction of 20%, and you're telling Casey that Donald Trump's tax rates are worse than Obama's. So you do...
Yeah, for marginal taxes, yes.
No, but what about overall taxes?
I'd have to look at the effective tax rates for the lowest levels of income, which I'm actually, like, I'm not sure there even is that data right now. I'd have to go find it. I was telling them that it is the case that the marginal tax rate increases. So the tax structure that he's putting up increases taxes on the lowest levels of corporate income while decreasing taxes on the highest level of corporate income. And if there's some QBI on the side that sort of takes into account all of those impacts and then somehow reduces it, which I don't even know how that would be possible because it's a deduction, right? I don't even know how that would somehow like benefit the bottom 50,000 in taxable income. So I would love to see.
And also corporations like at C corps, what you say are corporations, I think it's like 4% of all companies in America are set up as a corporation. And they don't typically make under $50,000 because any decent accountant, CPA
If
or
you knew
not,
how taxes work, it's for the first 50,000. Oh my Jesus Christ! You said you do taxes? You do people's taxes and you don't know that?
I did. What are you talking about? Yes, I know that. Why are you
Wait.
saying
Everyone
this?
pays that. Everyone pays that. If you make $1 million in corporate income, you pay for the first 50,000. Still, you pay that bracket. That's how brackets work. I explained that to you earlier when I explained brackets.
You haven't explained brackets to me.
I did. I literally
because
did just
know
explain
tax.
brackets.
Wait, are
Maybe
you
we need to
saying because
visualize
of the
it.
effective tax rate that you explained a bracket to me?
I explained brackets within the context of doing a marginal tax rate. I can explain it. Do you want me to use paint?
I don't need any explanation from you. I said that the number of corporation or the percentage of corporations in America set up the way that you're trying to explain that they're set up is like under 5%. And none of them only make, I understand that it's the first 50,000, but none of them make under 50,000 because they wouldn't be set up as a corporation if they did.
Okay.
So
You're
as
not
the
understanding. So
the
I need to.
numbers
I
above
do need to
fifty thousand
explain this to you.
dollars,
Seemingly, I do need to explain this to you. Okay. So let's say the first top. Okay. So she's gonna leave. Okay. So we'll explain it for the class. So 15%. Let's say that's your bottom marginal tax rate. Okay. 15%. The next one is 20%. Okay. Let's say that's for income up to 10,000. Okay. And that's for income up to 20K. Okay. That means for the first 10,000 in income, you pay 15% in taxes. Okay. And then up to 20K, right? The next 10,000, you pay 20%. So on the first 10,000, you pay $1,500. On the next 10,000 up to 20,000, you pay 20% of that 10,000. Meaning that you pay about $2,000. So it'd be 1,500 plus 2,000. 2, 3. Sorry, I need to extend this so that people can see. Okay, you'll pay 15. Sorry, my horrible paint. I'm sorry. 1,500 plus 2,000, which means you pay a total of 3,500. Okay. If you pay a total, I'm not even gonna write it. 3,500. Okay. Right. If you pay a total of 3,500 out of 20,000 in terms of income, that would be what your effective tax rate is. It would be 3,500 divided by 20,000. That would be the effective tax rate for the overall. Now, everyone, if they pay in brackets, they would pay 1,500 for this first bracket, and they'd pay 2,000 for the second bracket. No matter if you made up to 20,000 or if you made up to 100,000. For the first 20,000, that's how much you would pay in taxes. So that's why she was misunderstanding. For the bottom 50,000 in income, right? You paying that certain level of tax. Everyone does that. So everyone, if you make $1 million in corporate income, right? You still are going to pay that 6% increase on that bottom 50,000. So everyone does pay that. It's just going to disproportionately affect those that make less. And then she also concedes that corporations are disproportionately rich. Then she also concedes that the idea that doing corporate tax cuts are disproportionately helping the rich.